I don't want to do transcription. I don't know why it keeps doing that. So give me 2 seconds to turn that off. Okay. All right. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 11 o'clock public schools K through 12 liaison meeting. Just want to do a quick audio check because my computer is saying that my audio quality is really bad. Jen, can you give me a thumbs up if you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, cool. All right. So a couple things to give reviews on today. The first is we'll be covering some information on booster shots that was just cleared by the FDA yesterday, and sort of a surprise. So I'll share that information out here today. We do know that there's still a CDC potential approval that needs to go through, but we'll get into more details on that. We're going to go through the website, look at a couple of updates and changes on there, talk a little bit more with the any communications folks from your districts to review the website with them, and highlight the toolkit that's going to be dropping on our website here soon. And then we'll go over some, we'll start though with some numbers and some data and things of that nature. So let me do a screen share here and we'll just launch right into this. Okay. So as this report is from 9/23, just updated, total number of cases in schools in Pima County right now is at 2,274 total cases. Here's the distribution between students and staff. Staff is totaling about 277. Students is at 1,997 for that total of 2,274. We'll skip a couple of other slides, go down to here. At this point, we've got 76 outbreaks that have been confirmed in our school districts. We've between the health department and school districts, there's been 43 classrooms that have been closed. We have not closed any schools, nor do we want to do any of that. That again was confirmed as of 9 a.m. this morning. So you're getting the latest updated data on that. The numbers you'll see on the website will reflect this change a little bit later. So you're getting the preview on those case numbers. We are going to skip over some of the other stuff. We continue to distribute out quite a few tests. We've distributed 84,076 tests out to schools at this point in time. Testing is going to be an important discussion that we continue to have with you all today. Erica Spence is on with us today and is going to go over some more information on self-tests versus CLIA-waived tests. Just give some visuals, and then we're gonna show you again that sticker that we've been putting on those kits, so that you can make sure that when parents and families who are unable to access testing for whatever reason have those, that there's a mechanism for them to report positive results back to the health department, which they should also be reporting to you as a school site too. And we have heard that that's occurring at a couple of schools, which is good. So from pima.gov webpage here, clicking down to school resources, one of the updates you're going to potentially see in the next couple of weeks is a reflection similar to what the CDC schools interface does, where it has a link for parents, guardians, link for school administrators, link for other school professionals, and then a fourth option for other, which is basically like folks who from the community are interested in information related to schools transmission or COVID mitigation in schools as a whole. So you'll see some of those things happen on this website here fairly soon. Looks like this was updated at 10 a.m. this morning, so awesome, good stuff there. I did ask the team to move our data and statistics tab right here on this forefront page for the schools, just so it's really easy for you all to navigate and access. This is the tab that I've highlighted a couple of times on this call, which does not go where it needs to go. So I will fix that later today. This is the page that link should go to. And that includes our data dashboard, our ADHS main data dashboard, the Pima County vaccine distribution dashboard, our progress report, and then a couple of other reports that are pertinent for schools as a whole. So that will get fixed. It's a great place to find mistakes is on this session. a click through here, just a reminder, you've got this quarantine quiz. We highly encourage you to let your parents know, let the parents and guardians know that this is a resource that they can use to really get some of the firsthand quarantine guidance and isolation guidance that they themselves can kind of click through and find out exactly what the health department had said. We have seen increased ADHS participation in contact tracing case investigation, which means that some of your schools, some of your parents, especially if they're close contacts, are potentially getting calls from Arizona Department of Health Services, giving quarantine guidance, which includes 14 days of quarantine. If you have any of those calls, I would refer those parents to call the 724-7018 number. That's our school's response line. I'm going to drop that in the chat again here, 724-7018, because we're definitely, Pima County is not saying 14 days for quarantine unless there's some medically compromising issues going on with that potential situation. So if you have a parent or guardian saying, what the heck, 14 days, why is that happening? That's something we would definitely want to get a hold of and to get in contact with that parent to let them know. But yeah, that's not the case. It's 7 days if you choose to test and the test is negative, 10 days if you choose not to test. Our goal again is to try to keep kids in school as much as possible. Okay, so this quiz will walk them through that guidance and can help out with that. For schools and childhood guidance again, just a reminder, the Executive Order 2020-03 that took place last year does require that schools notify all staff and all parents and all guardians if there's an outbreak at your school site. A lot of you have been doing that, and that's really good. If you need help with figuring that out, give us a holler, let us know. We did update our outbreak alert letter for parents and staff based on some recent feedback to include the definition of an outbreak. So you'll see that on this updated letter that goes out if your district or if your school does have an outbreak. Reminder of our definition of outbreak is 2 or more epidemiologically linked cases within a classroom setting. Means they're not a brother or a sister, not a sibling, not a group of people that met at a park over the weekend. It's that the cases can be traced back to the classroom. And there's an addition to that too, where there may have been an outside transmission of the classroom, but we're really going to have to go to length to nullify that out. If it's within 14 days and it's likely that there's a transmission in the classroom, then that is something that we take into consideration when our epidemiology group does an interview with the administrator and with the school nurse or the health aide at that site, as well as potentially including the classroom teacher. So we will not declare an outbreak until we go through those pieces with you. If you have questions about outbreaks, which I'm seeing a couple of things dropped in the chat, nothing there yet pertaining to outbreaks, please let us know and we can help walk you through that, because we know that it is a particular challenge that has arisen over the last couple of weeks here. So I'm seeing thank you, Madison, for dropping that link in the chat there. If you need to review the YouTube videos, that's where it's at. I am having some trouble getting those videos uploaded right now, but Jen and I are going to work on that right after this meeting, and you'll see the last 4 recordings get dropped onto that channel. So this one, as well as the other 4, will be on there by noon today, by 12:30. So yeah, there you go. Okay, so those are those links. Again, you'll see some changes on this here fairly soon. We are going to be working with the superintendent's office and Matthew Stamp to work with the communications folks from all the other districts to go through this website one more time and just make sure that this is meeting the needs of all of your districts for comms related information. We recognize again that y'all have been getting an insane amount of calls from parents and constituents who are just really angry or maybe have a difficult time finding information. So we want to streamline this to make sure that it's a little bit more accessible. And hindsight, we should have thought of that a year ago, but it wasn't until a concern came up and Matt Stamp over at the superintendent's office was like, hey, let's do this. And we're like, absolutely, that's a great idea. So we're going to be working with them on making that happen. The YouTube link was dropped in the chat here. This is where you'll find all the videos. So they're all dropped in here, and you'll be able to access those through the link. Two other things that I want to bring up. First is booster shots. So let me pull up an email really quick. So this just hot off the press this morning. FDA came out with a surprise announcement yesterday, approving booster for Pfizer vaccine 6 months after the second dose for the following individuals: 65 and older, all adults at high risk for coronavirus, which includes obesity, diabetes, et cetera, which include up to as many as 60% adults. And for all occupations with exposure to coronavirus, this does include teachers. So CDC announcement, we're expecting that later this week. We're also thinking Moderna and J&J booster recommendations will likely be within 2 to 4 weeks. We're going to try to keep you as up to date as we can with this. Again, we just found out about this yesterday near the end of the day. So we're going to be really leaning on that in our planning, and especially as we continue to do vaccine sites at all of your schools and all of your districts. We want to do that as quickly as possible. Right now, we have at least a minimum of 2 schools that are calendared in to host vaccine sites every day for the next 2 to potentially even 4 weeks from now. We're going to do a little bit of a break during the fall break that a lot of your kids won't be in schools for anyways. But we are working towards getting to where we can host up to 5 sites a day. We're just waiting for some staffing to get put through. And as soon as we have those 5 site monitor staff that are getting hired through health department, we'll be able to deploy those resources out with the goal of getting every single school in Pima County to host a vaccine site before the close of this school year. So we're going to be working hard to get your teachers who want to get that 3rd dose, get that to happen as quickly as possible. Okay. Again, just a quick an update, because I'm seeing that question come up in the chat, that yesterday FDA announced that the Pfizer 3rd dose is available for those who are 6 months out from completing their 2nd dose. And it will include individuals who are 65 and older, those who are medically compromised to include certain health conditions, which I can outline a little bit later, but this also includes teachers. For right now, this 3rd dose is only authorized for Pfizer. We are expecting some news on J&J and Moderna, hopefully within the next 2 to 4 weeks. That is not set in stone yet, so do not quote me on that. But we will we'll make sure that we notify you all as soon as we know, which is what this announcement is coming out today for, because literally last night that was found out. So and a couple questions in the chat about that I'm going to close on. Can we get Pfizer booster even if our first doses were Moderna? We're giving Pfizer booster to people who received AstraZeneca. I'm going to have Dr. Zach on this call next week. Dr. Zach Garbarg is someone who's been really helping us out with vaccination output. And we're going to make sure that questions like that, Kate, if you can make sure to jump on next Thursday and ask that exact question, Dr. Zach will give you the absolute medical advice on that. And I will copy and post this question on the email to him to make sure that he can actually address that in the session next week. Okay. Covered the question there for Ms. Miller-Hilden. We have a clinic already scheduled in the beginning of October. Will you vaccinate teachers? Absolutely, we totally will, as long as they're 6 months out from the completion of their 2nd dose. You said teachers are eligible. What about counselors, admin, cafeteria workers, etc.? Is it all school employees? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Anyone who works at a school who is eligible to receive that 3rd dose of Pfizer, we want to get that. We want to get that out to them as quickly as possible. We'll also be working with your district superintendents, comms people, to figure out locations for teacher sites, which will be like district offices, specific high schools that'll be allocated towards getting a lot of your teachers vaccinated as quickly as possible based on where your districts and the accessibility of those school sites are for those teachers. Administrators are asking if COVID-19 educational program for high schools from PCHD. I think they're hoping for students who are having mask issues. Yes, we are working on that too. We do have some, there's actually a program that we've been touching base with someone locally, Lucy Howell, who runs a nonprofit, and there's an announcement that we'll be pulling out on that in the next week, and sharing out a resource that's free for anyone to use that has a lot of really great COVID educational material around masking and things like that. You're gonna see more news, more really big news tomorrow around masking. I can't talk more about it right now on this session, but you're gonna see that come up. So we'll email that out to this list when that comes out, and hopefully that'll be another proverbial arrow in the quiver that you can use, okay, to help get the masking to be adhered to. Yeah, Nikki, a thumbs up on that, which is Nikki's just highlighting first responders, medical community. PHS would love an educational program for high schools regarding COVID. Kate, I'll email you the link to this website right after this. You know what? I'm just going to email everyone on this website the link to this tool. From Kimberly Fenderson, anytime available for Moderna boosters. There's discussion right now that we'll hear about the finalization on that, on the clearance from FDA in the 2 to 4 weeks from now. That is a rough estimate guess. As you all have experienced firsthand in these webinars, you know, it's my goal to give you at least 2 weeks advance notice before something like this happens. But in this case, it was like last night, FDA made this surprise decision. So I'm getting you the news as quickly as I can here. So as soon as I know that, I'll get that information out to you, Ms. Henderson. Last 2 questions here. Love the quarantine graphic recently sent. Any chance we can have posters made? Hey, that's a great idea. Jen, let's run that by Bonnie today. We'll get a couple of posters made and get that sent out to anyone who wants those. Dustin Williams, link for this video, please. Channel content. Let me pull up the playlist here, and then I'm just going to drop this link in the chat. Okay, cool. All right, there we go. So that runs through those questions. We covered vaccines, we covered numbers, we covered quarantine quiz. Now on to testing. So and I'll address that question here in just a second, Superintendent Yeager, but where is Erica?
I'm here. Hello.
There you are, Erica. If you want to go ahead and do your spiel and screen share on the testing kits, this is the sticker that you'll see on the self-test, but maybe just go through the distinguishments between CLIA waiver ones and self-test.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to steal your screen if that's okay. Okay, cool. So these are those 2 test types. There's the self-test, which is on the right side here, and there's the antigen card, which is on the left side. So if you guys have CLIA waivers and you've undergone training either online or with the National Guard, the tests that can be run on your school site are the ones on the left, this antigen card one. Those are the ones that if a student comes symptomatic to the nurse's office, you would swab them with a test from this kit. If you have a group of students who were close contacts that were known to be around a positive case, and they are either isolating or they're symptomatic, but for whatever reason they're not on campus, you would send them home with one of these. These tests are to be run by the student or the parent of the student. They are not to be conducted by a nurse, a health staff member, a teacher, anybody other than somebody who is related directly to that student. It could be a guardian, but these tests cannot be run on your school site or by you specifically, unless you're doing it to yourself or a child or parent. These ones over here are the ones that would be used for that. So when you order tests, when it says how many self-tests do you want, it is these tests. If you want more to be run on school sites, that is the one on the left, the antigen card ones. Does anybody have questions about that?
Just a quick question popped in the chat there, Erica. Nikki's asking if they can get this slide to talk about with staff. So if maybe you send that to me, I'll send it out to this distribution group.
Sure. Yes, I will do
Next
that.
question is test temperature sensitive.
Yes, my rule of thumb is if you wouldn't want to stay at that temperature for a prolonged period of time, neither do the tests. So if you wouldn't want to sit in your car, for 2 hours, the test shouldn't be there either. It should be between 2 and 30 degrees Celsius. So I think that's between 4 and 86 Fahrenheit.
Yep, awesome. A couple other questions popped in the chat here. Do we have to keep a record of who we have given a self-test to? Answer to that is no. We just really encourage everyone who receives those tests, and this messaging is important that it comes from you all too, to use this the reporting link, either the UCR code or the phone number that'll be attached to this next iteration of the sticker to report the results of the test. So on the screen share here, you can see this QR code. If any of you have a cell phone on you right now, go ahead, take your camera and hold it up to that QR code. And you can see where that'll take you directly to a website where you can report the results of your test. It'll also give you some really good information and guidance about when to take your test. If you're symptomatic versus asymptomatic, there's videos of how to take the test. Thanks, Superintendent Williams. There's videos of how to take the test, so there's really little confusion from the individuals who are home testing. And those are in English and Spanish. They're done with anywhere from, I think there's some elementary age students. One of our comms people had their 3 and 5-year-old self-administer the test on the video. There's also some middle schoolers and high schoolers on that video. So there's several options to really make it age appropriate as best as possible with that. Okay. Question here from Madison. Is there a reason why we wouldn't use the home test for in-school testing other than as being intended for home use? Yeah, so Ms. Correa, the main reason for that is that these tests, there's an implied consent when your district receives these self-tests that they are going to be redistributed to individuals who cannot access testing for whatever reason, whether it's economic means, transportation access, or maybe because of having to isolate or quarantine for a full family. Those reasons, we under the grant from which we receive these tests, we have to make sure that those are distributed out to those individuals. Okay, so that those are the questions related to the testing. I'm going to jump back up to a couple of other questions and then go into the vaccine questions that are popping in. Superintendent Yeager, someone asked this morning if Pima County was going to consider a test to stay play protocol in lieu of just quarantines. Having done a little research on it, I'm very interested in the possibility and what it could mean for keeping kids in school, particularly after reading about the success experience in other states. So great question. Yes, we are and have been considering tests to stay, not to play, just test to stay protocol. We're from the research that we've seen on one of the big hangups is that those states that are using this test to stay successfully have the ability to enforce mask mandates within their districts. So based on the research that I was looking at with that as well, it's usually 95% or more compliance with masking in order for this test to stay to really be successful at eliminating transmission of the virus in a school setting. So that is one of the really important things that would have to occur in order for a qualification on that. Right now, we're writing out the qualifications for pilots to be conducted on tests to stay. So we're going to be releasing that out to a lot of your districts, and then we'll, based on the applications and the meeting of those qualifications, which would be 95% or more masking compliance within the setting, down to even the classroom setting. And then beyond that, authorization of parent authorization of use of testing for kids. So that would be something else that would have to be included in order for that to even be a consideration to move forward. And again, the schools and the districts that are doing this have really high compliance rates with authorization use of testing among parents, guardians, and masking compliance within those settings. So those are the preliminary qualifications around that. But short answer is absolutely, we should have that rolled out for you fairly soon. So just keep an eye out when we make that announcement. Moving on to questions about vaccines, I posted the announcement from FDA, CDC, just FDA. CDC has not released the announcement yet. We'll push that out to you all as soon as we get that, but the FDA one is dropped in the chat there. On the boosters, just to be clear from Heather Shaw, only Pfizer vaccinated folks eligible for boosters once finalized. Yes, that is correct. And right now, if they have had their Pfizer second dose 6 months or more in the past, they are eligible to receive that booster. So they can start heading out to do that. Moving down the chat to the other couple questions here. I think that covers everything in the chat. I'm going to stop a share at this point in time. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions, so I want to make sure I'm giving you all ample time for these. Floor is open, so you want to use raise hand function or drop questions in chat, go for it. I do want to just reiterate again, masking is really, really, really helpful, especially when you have a large percentage of your classroom masking with Fidelity. We strongly, at the health department, strongly suggest that you keep your kids masking and maybe just don't make a lot of noise about any impending things coming up around that. You know, just encourage your kids to keep masking, push out that guidance that reduces the radius of close contact to 3 feet if they're masking with Fidelity. That's going to reduce the amount of kids you have to have in quarantine. Once we get some other things rolled out, we may be able to support you even more in your communications efforts with parents around the efficacy of masking in a classroom, but more importantly, how much of a benefit is to keep your kid in school if they're masking with Fidelity in a classroom. So those are all important things to include in communications. From Rachel in Skolesko, any talk of reducing quarantine to test on day 5, return on day 6 instead of waiting till day 8 to return? No, not at this point in time. It will remain, as far as I know, test on day 5, return on day 8. Although the test to stay program, which has not been cleared by the CDC, says that if a kid is a close contact, everyone is masking with Fidelity. They can come back every day, take a test before the start of the day, and then remain in the classroom for the duration of quarantine, pending the results that they do not have a positive test result or that they do not manifest with any symptoms. So let me try to re-summarize that one more time. So test to say essentially states that if you're a close contact and if you and the positive person have both been masking in that classroom with Fidelity, then there's the possibility of quarantine being accomplished within the classroom setting, giving really 3 factors. 1, there's a test every single day that's happening at the beginning of the day before that kid gets into the classroom. 2, that everyone is masking with Fidelity. And 3, that there are no symptomatic presences of the individuals who are involved in the test to stay. Okay. Nikki, question.
Yes, I ask if that initiative goes through before it's sent out to everybody, that you would check school districts has a manpower to give that test to each person every day that are in close contact, because that's our problem right now is staffing. And I think that's everywhere.
Absolutely. And that would be part of the requirement too, is that you have the logistical ability to conduct the test to stay programming as well, because you know, staffing across the board, not just with schools, and Stuart, thanks for picking up on that. I appreciate that. Not just our nursing staff, like we've seen a lot of our nurses drop off, and I can't even, I mean, I just give so much gratitude and respect to what all y'all have had to go through with this. Our nurses, our educators, our administrators, I'm tearing up a little bit right now. Just it's been an insane year, and I'm just really grateful for everything that y'all are doing.
Thank you.
So
Brian.
yeah, staffing is an issue. Kate, close contact letter. Yep, I will touch base with you on some updates on that. We're getting some last minute things cleared over here through our comms, and then you'll see another iteration of that close contact letter being released out to reflect that that grammatical change, as well as some other things that have been shown. And just to answer Christie's question out loud here, Stu, if you want to oh, you got that already. So Stu already shared that with the warehouse. But and if you're having issues with the number of self-tests you were supposed to receive, reach out to erica.spence@pima.gov if you didn't get the accurate number that was sent out to your district. And then Erica will work with you to get that corrected. In this case, Stu took care of it, which is awesome. So thanks for that, Stu. All right, well, we are 1 minute past time. I'm going to stop recording and